Okay, so hi everyone who's out there. I hope there's an audience. So I'm Elizabeth Whittam. I'm chair of the Department of Geology and Environmental Earth Science. I'm also a chief departmental advisor for the department, and I've been here for just about 24 years at Miami. Jonathan, I'll turn it to you.
Thanks. I'm Jonathan Levy. I am also a professor in the Department of Geology and Environmental Earth Science, but I come to you today as director of the Institute for the Environment and Sustainability, IES, and I'll be telling you about that. I'm now in my 26th year, and there's lots of things to talk about, and we'll do that, but let's do more introductions. So how
Todd?
about Todd?
Okay, yep, so I'm Todd DuPont. I am also in the Department of Geology and Environmental Earth Science, and I'm here in my role as an advisor, but I'm also a faculty member.
Thanks. Okay, shall we go in order of students? I'm going by pictures on the screen. So Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah Gorman. I'm a sophomore from Rochester Hills, Michigan. I'm a double major in environmental earth science and sustainability, and I ride for the Miami University equestrian team.
Excellent. The other Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah Strack. I'm a combined master's student in the Institute for the Environment and Sustainability. I did my bachelor's in biology and environmental science with a minor in Spanish.
Madeline.
Hi, my name is Madeline Merchland. I'm a junior at Miami. I am a double major with political science and geology, and I focus on mineralogy with Dr. Ackerman.
Lauren?
Hi, I'm Lauren. I am currently pursuing, I'm a junior and I'm currently pursuing bachelor's in environmental earth science. I have co-major in sustainability, a minor in Spanish, and I'm also currently in the combined Masters of Environmental Science program. And I have been doing research for 3 years with Dr. Mark Kreckler.
Great. And Ruthie?
Hi, I'm Ruthie. I'm a geology major with a minor in creative writing. I do research with Dr. Ackerman with Madeline, but I'm also in a lot of other clubs that quite aren't related to science, but yeah, have a lot of interests. And I found that they all also collide with science in certain ways. So yeah.
Great. Okay, Carol, did you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Carol Richmond, and I'm from the Office of Admission, and glad to have students who have attended and gone to worked with Dr. Levy and Dr. Whittam.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. So I will try to share my screen now, and we'll do a very brief introduction to the department. Okay. Let me go into presentation mode. Does that look okay from your end? Okay, so I just wanted to give a super quick overview of the department. We are actually one of the smaller departments in the university. We have 12 faculty and about 150 undergraduate majors. 85 of our majors, roughly, right now are environmental earth science, getting a Bachelor of Arts degree. And we have about 65 geology majors, mostly Bachelor of Science students and some Bachelor of Arts. We also offer graduate programs, so we have about 25 graduate students, typically split between master's and PhD, and these graduate students actually interact quite a bit with our undergraduate majors. So they serve as teaching assistants in many of their courses, and also they serve as research mentors for many of our undergraduate students. So in addition to those majors, we offer a minor in geology. The minor involves taking 6 courses, pretty much of a student's choice, but they can focus in different areas if they're interested, for example, in earth resources or in climate change or paleontology. Any of those are areas that students can focus in. And then we have also a combined bachelor's master's degree. So that's a 5-year degree program where students can get either a BA or a BS degree, and then a master's, and that can be either a master's of arts or a master's of science. In particular, in the case where a student starts doing a lot of research as an undergraduate student, it's possible to complete the MS degree as well in 5 years. And we also offer a summer field camp as a capstone course for our geology major. But I wanted to mention that in all of our different majors, all of our programs, students gain extensive hands-on experience, both in field work as well as lab work. So many of our courses have field and lab components with them. And in addition, students have abundant opportunities for hands-on training in research labs. So a significant fraction of our students do undergraduate research. They work with our faculty who are prominent in a wide array of different research areas. So some of those are traditional geoscience, geology subdisciplines, but geology by its nature is actually very interdisciplinary. So we have faculty and students doing research in geobiology, geomicrobiology, geophysics, geochemistry, and most of our faculty also do research that is environmental science. So we have people like Dr. Levy, for example, who does research in groundwater contamination. We have people looking at atmospheric pollution, people looking at climate change. We have a faculty member looking at nuclear waste disposal, so all different kinds of environmental applications. And I should mention also that we work all over the world. We work on almost every single continent, and our students get opportunities to go to many of these places. And so I believe that Dr. Levy will talk about that in a little bit. I wanted just to end by mentioning to you that we are extremely lucky in our department in that we have absolutely state-of-the-art teaching and research facilities. So we were lucky to have a major renovation of our building starting in 2014. So our building was actually, you can see parts of it were torn down off the outside. Parts we had new foundations dug and new construction that was added to the building. So we had about an additional 50% square footage added. And you can see the interior of the building was completely gutted down to absolutely just concrete floors and a few concrete columns. And as a result, we have really wonderful teaching and research facilities. So these are examples of some of our classrooms, which were really designed for interactive, hands-on, engaged student learning. And these are a couple of our teaching labs as well. So our introductory lab and upper level geology lab. And we have also really state-of-the-art research facilities. So this is an example of a geochemistry lab and some of our analytical instrumentation. And I just want to say that we have now in our department research facilities that I would say really rival any geology department in any university in the country. We also have a beautiful new museum, which you see here. This was actually, some of the exhibits were created by Miami students, and this is a facility that's used very heavily for teaching at all different levels as well as for research. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Levy.
Thank you. So IES is an institute, it's not a department. So we have a very small faculty, and what we do is we work with faculty from all over the university who are teaching things that are environmental or have things to do with sustainability. IES was founded in 1969, which means it's one of the oldest institutes of its kind in the country. And just to put this into perspective, that makes IES just a year older than Earth Day and a year older than the Environmental Protection Agency. So Miami was really at the forefront of this kind of education. And if you notice, we're addressing environmental problems to promote a more sustainable society. That's really our mission. Liz, you're gonna have to advance for me. Yeah. Thank you. So we have 4 undergraduate programs and they're co-majors. A co-major is just a second major. It's like a double major. The only difference is that you do have to have a primary major. So you are in the introductions, I believe Sarah Gorman, you said you were a environmental earth science, you said, major, and a sustainability co-major. So you can't just major in sustainability, and that's because our co-majors are interdisciplinary. We want you to have some discipline, but then we really want you to get this interdisciplinary focus as well. And that's through the co-major. We have 4 co-majors: environmental science, sustainability, energy, and the newest one is food systems and food studies. And go ahead, Liz, go to the next one. I have something on each one of these, which I'll do really quickly. So environmental science, it focuses on the sciences, on the natural sciences. And, you know, when you think about this, and Liz mentioned the new Scheidler Hall that we're in, we share Scheidler Hall. In fact, 3 units share it. So geology and environmental earth science, IES, and also geography. And you can think of Scheidler Hall as kind of the center of earth studies at the university in many different forms. Go ahead, Liz. So here's another co-major, sustainability, which really brings in more of the social sciences and even some of the humanities, so that you get an even broader perspective on what this is all about, of how you go about doing whatever you're doing, whether it's business or political science, and also think about sustainability of resources. Go ahead, Liz. So energy, it has a little bit more engineering mixed in and also architecture. So because of those courses, it's a little less populated. We have about 100 students in the other 2. Energy, maybe only 25 or so, but come study energy with us, and whatever you're doing, focus a co-major on energy. Go ahead, Liz, and one more. See, I've really come to believe that there's no achieving, however you define sustainability, there's no achieving sustainability without thinking about our food systems. Food is going to be the greatest challenge that we're facing in terms of the actual food supply for people, obviously, but also water supply, soil resources. And if you think about the energy associated with the way that we do food now, it's just totally unsustainable. So I really want to encourage as many of you as possible to get involved in this. And if you do, notice that it has to do with agricultural ecology and also nutrition and society and culture. It mixes all these things. And IES has a working farm, a sustainable farm, so you can get hands-on experience at the farm, which produces just wonderful produce that is distributed locally. It's part of the Institute for Food, which is part of IES. Go ahead, Liz. And then the students that that are representing IES here, they can talk more about this, but both of them, Sarah Strack and Lauren Dobke, are both doing the combined program. And we have a lot of students doing the combined program. Look, you're all in high school. You're just started. I know it's too early to be thinking about a master's. It really is. In fact, I don't even know how you would know what major you really wanted to do at this point. You should really come to Miami and explore, and it's okay to be undecided. But just know that we have a lot of students who in 5 years, or even some students in 4 years, and I think actually Lauren can speak to that, she might be doing it in 4, are going to complete both their bachelor's and get a master's of environmental science. And I'm so impressed by what our master's students are going out, the ones who are graduating now, the jobs that they have lined up in spite of the pandemic, going out and really launching environmental careers. Go ahead, Liz. And as Liz mentioned, field experiences, skip this one. I can come back to that if anybody has questions. But I just wanted to say that I do take students to Zambia every couple of years, and there are professors taking students to all different places. There are many types of international programs that focus on the environment and sustainability. My Zambia trip is just one of those. I have one more slide. This is showing the safari stuff. And then the next one is showing groundwater research associated with that. So we've been looking at a variety of environmental problems in Zambia. And I can talk more about international programs. It's a real passion of mine to get students involved in international programs. All right, that is our PowerPoint. And now we are ready to talk to you and hear your questions. So we'll open it up. And how are they doing this? Carol, they just putting questions in chat, and am I monitoring that? I can do that.
I think it's in the
So
Q&A.
if they'll just enter that in the Q&A, all of our panelists should be able to see it, but I could also read that as well.
Okay.
And so far I don't.
Here's a question. Jonathan, can you see it?
Yes, so for the students, favorite part about the program that you're in? And I'm going to just call on Sarah Gorman first because she's up at the top.
Yeah, so I'm in environmental science and sustainability, and I think my favorite thing so far about it is how applicable it is to everyday life. Everything I'm learning is happening right now, so it's not like I'm looking back at the past as much as everything that we're going over and everything my teachers are working on is stuff that's happening right now and is really important to life right now, which is something I was looking for when picking a major, was just like applicability. And then what comes along with the fact that all of this material is so applicable is that we're getting a lot of hands-on work. I'm constantly like in lab courses and we're working on stuff that's not like the same thing that every class every year is working on. We're getting to do stuff that's just for us.
I should also add that, Sarah, aren't you in your actual residence hall room?
Yeah, I am. So
Yeah.
I'm living on campus. I'm in Withrow. So I am on campus. It's very fun.
Okay, how about Sarah Strack answering the same thing? Because you're in a very different area. In fact, I think Sarah's the only one here who's not geology or environmental earth science in one of your degrees. So go ahead, Sarah.
So I'll speak briefly on my undergrad and my grad in case you guys are interested in pursuing the combined program as well. But for me, everything was very interesting to me. I also loved how they tie in all of the different majors in your environmental classes. So I know that I got to see lectures where we had, economics discussed. You can see that tie into how you're viewing sustainability in the world. You also see, biology and chemistry. For me, I approached it more from a biological standpoint, but I got to see all that tie into environmental science. And I also it changed my perspective a lot because I had a very environmentally centric view where I didn't consider people as much when I was considering the environment, but you can't unlink the two. My most geology kind of earth science thing that I do really is more actually geography. I am in geographic information systems as part of my major for my master's. I love being able to see that tie into everything as well. And then with land and water management, just everything ties in when you're in environmental science, when you're in earth sciences, and it's really cool to see that.
Okay, and then I don't think we have to do every student for every question, but how about one of you talking about if research is your favorite part of your undergrad program, then speak now. So Madeline or Ruthie or Lauren.
Yeah, that's actually something that I was just about to say is one of my favorite things about the various programs that I am in is that there is a very great access to research. Talking to the different professors, you get a really good idea of what they're studying, and it's so different. And they really do emphasize, like when I was a freshman and when I was thinking about joining into research, they really did emphasize You can join into a research project, and if you realize that it's not something that you want to do, then you can move on to another thing, and that the professor will most likely help you try to figure out what you're interested in and link you up with somebody who's doing that. And I think that that's really cool. I've stuck with the same professor for 3 years, but that's just because I love what I do, and it's been a really awesome experience. I am currently training on a transmission electron microscope, which is basically just a really big microscope that sees very little things. And I am also currently working on 3 papers that should be submitted for peer review by the end of the semester, which is fantastic. And I don't think that I would have been able to do that if I hadn't had a research advisor who is so flexible and who really understands kind of where everyone in the research group wants to go and make something available to them that they're interested in working on.
Yeah, I have a comment to add to that, which is that I was going through this process of looking at schools just a few years ago with my daughter. And when we would go to a small liberal arts school, they would make the argument, if you come here, then we don't have a graduate program. So therefore the focus is on you and you get to do more research. And then if we went to a big institution, you would hear, well, we're a big research institution. We have all the money that comes in and the research equipment, the state-of-the-art stuff. At Miami, we really do like to think of ourselves as kind of in the sweet spot between those two, that we really do have a focus on undergraduate education, and yet we have viable PhD programs, especially in the sciences, that allow us to get the money and the big equipment. And Dr. Whittam has been a recipient of some of the biggest ones that have been awarded on this campus. And because of that, our undergraduates get to work with graduate students and use some of this amazing equipment, like the piece of equipment that Lauren just referred to, the scanning electron microscope. Or did you say the transmission? I don't remember which one.
It's the transmission. It's the big boy.
Okay. Okay.
So I see there was a question later down the list that says what makes Miami of Ohio special and different from other schools. So I think that really summarized what's key about that. It really is that we have research and teaching facilities that rival any in the country, even, the Research One schools. And yet our undergraduate students are in there using all of these instruments and working side by side with the professors and the graduate students. So Madeline, I think, has been using some brand new equipment in her mineralogy research. Is that right? And Ruthie as well.
Yeah, so just recently, Ruthie and I both got trained on the X-ray diffractometer, the powder X-ray diffractometer that is in this building right now. I was actually just down there a little bit. The most important thing with that and with optical mineralogy, which is another big thing that I've been doing right now, is those are both really employable skills. So there's definitely a focus on skills that will help you get jobs in the future that you can work on now and get trained on now when you're doing research with professors.
Hey, Madeline, I'm just noticing you're in the mineralogy teaching lab right now.
Yes, I am.
So that's another thing that I just wanted to mention. Our students have 24/7 access to the teaching labs and the research labs, so they can go in and do their work anytime. So we often find Madeline and cohorts hanging out in the mineralogy teaching lab. It's sort of their own private research space or studying space right now during COVID times.
Liz, I just wanted to add something that Madeline said that really makes Miami special, especially when it comes to research. So the equipment that we've been talking about, like the X-ray diffractor or the SEM, like those sort of things, when you go to other universities, when you use those instruments, they charge you every single time that you use those instruments. And it can cost students hundreds of dollars to use those instruments. So it's a huge tip that, if you're looking at other universities and you're really interested in research, ask them what it costs to use those instruments, because you might end up having to pay for it opposed to Miami, because of the sweet spot that we're in that Dr. Levy was talking about. We allow our students to use those instruments as much as they want and get training on it for free, where they would have to pay to get that training somewhere else. So that's something that makes Miami really unique, and you definitely want to take advantage of it while you're here.
Okay, we have a question. I don't want to dodge it. Is the environmental science degree accredited? I'm not sure how to answer that question though. It is, being a co-major, it is a little different. It doesn't go through quite the same process as a major. And yeah, I'm not sure about accredited. It's an accredited, I'm not sure what the answer to that is. So we'll have to come back. I'll have to look into that, and you should just get in touch with me and we can talk more about that. How are the class sizes and professor one-on-one time? So I'll address class sizes. Class sizes vary a lot. So you could be in an intro biology or chemistry class or even geology class with over 100 students. But as you work your way through the major, the classes do get smaller and smaller, and most of the classes are quite small. Most of the classes are going to be around at the 200 level, even what, 20 would be average, 25 maybe, Liz? Yeah. And at the 300 and 400 level, those could be 15 students, that sort of thing. And then the students, you want to talk about professor one-on-one time? Anybody?
I'll jump in. I know, like, especially as a freshman, I didn't take advantage as much as I should have of one-on-one time, except for I did harass Dr. Levy quite a bit with advising questions, and he made time for me. But I gotta say, every time that I've gone in to have one-on-one advising, it's been extremely helpful. Professors are always willing to meet. Even oftentimes they'll allow you to meet with them outside of their posted scheduled times for meetings. So if you have an overlapping class, you just reach out, you say, I don't understand this homework assignment, I feel lost, and they'll make extra time for you. And I think that that's amazing because they're not required to do that. Nobody tells them that they have to, but all of the teachers have been very outstanding when it comes to making time.
And just to add on to that, something else that I really appreciate that's, I think, specific to the departments that we're talking about here in the Institute, and I'm just speaking on them because I don't belong to other departments, so I can't speak to them, but the professors in our departments really, and in the Institute, really make time to meet with you, discuss things with you, etc. Oh, please don't let me lose this thought. It was such a good point to make. You know what? Come back to me. It's okay. It's all right.
I'll talk then. I am the student who's probably like the bane of the whole department. I'm in everyone's office hours all the freaking time. I had Professor Whittam's geochemistry class this semester, and the amount of emails and like face-to-face meetings I tried to schedule is probably way too much. But like, no matter what I'm doing all the time, everyone is always so kind about like making time to talk to you. And if you're confused, like being extra helpful. So it's really something that like I wasn't expecting to be as easy as it is. I think so far my biggest class has like in the department has been about 100 people. And it was like an intro class. It was a one-on-one class. And I was in my professor's office hours every week. They're really good about it. It's really helpful. It's something to definitely take advantage of. I know everyone says like, go to office hours. Like it's a great way to meet your professors. Like I am in office hours all the time. There is no shortage of one-on-one attention you can get in this department, which is just something that's so helpful.
It really is something that, again, is a source of pride for Miami faculty that we do pay that kind of attention to this.
I just remembered really fast, Dr. Levy,
Yeah.
what I was going to
Go
say.
ahead.
I was going to say that something that I was really worried about coming to college with needing help from professors, et cetera, is I feel like that quintessential professor that you always hear about, where they're at the institution to conduct research and they're not really there to teach students. And I have not found that at all at Miami, not just in IES or in the departments here, but across the board. I have been with professors in various departments where their sole job, as they view it, is to teach you. And then like they do research as well, obviously, but they're really there to make sure that you are understanding the concepts because they understand that you are here to learn. And they do make time for you. And I have not met a single person yet. And that actually includes TAs and GAs too. So any of the teaching assistants, I have not had problems asking people questions. I have not been met with any type of, poor attitude whenever I am asking questions or asking me outside of class time. And that's something that's really important to me because I think it kind of goes for any student. If you're paying for an education, you want to get a good education. You don't want somebody who's going to, kind of push you away because they're more focused on what they're doing than teaching you. And so I just wanted to say that because I think that that's another quality that makes Miami really special and that has really helped me in my education.
And I think this really came through, and maybe you all agree or disagree, but I saw it really come through in March when suddenly the whole university had to move online. And the amount of resources that were made available to us as far as hardware and training opportunities so that we could suddenly shift our classes online. I just saw so many professors working so hard to pull this off, myself included. I've been spending a lot of time editing videos this semester, but I was really impressed as I saw professors respond to the crisis this year. So there's another question here, which is just for me. At this point, I'm very interested in geohydrology. Is it possible to do geology with a concentration in geology along with a co-major? So the more general point there is I really do believe that you have time in your 4 years to do a major and a co-major and a minor and maybe the combined program and travel abroad. If you really are seeking out these opportunities, you can find a way to do all these things. There are a few programs across campus that have very rigid time commitments, and the ones that come to mind are in some of the engineering programs, the architecture and teaching, where they all have a lot of time where you have to spend time in the studio or actually time student teaching. But most of the majors, whatever you choose at Miami, most of the majors, especially the Bachelor of Arts majors, you really do have time to do these things. And then in particular, yes, look, come if you're interested in geohydrology, then come and do environmental earth science and just make sure you gobble up all the hydrology related courses that you can along the way. You won't have anything on your degree that says you specialized in that, but you'll know you're specialized on that, and you create your resume in a way that reflects that, and you get the experience on your resume that reflects that. And that can be through research and field work, that can be through internships. Anybody else want to respond to those issues in general? Yeah, Ruthie?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, also the nice thing about the way, like, in particular, the geology major is set up is that there are a certain number of core requirement classes that you take that gives you a widespread knowledge about the earth as a whole, which is so cool. But then you also get to take 3 or 4 electives, and that kind of helps you get more of that focus you want. And then participating in research gives you more of that focus that you want. Like Madeline and I focus on a lot of mineralogy stuff. So we've taken courses in X-ray diffraction and mineralogy. We do research in mineralogy. And then we're hoping to take the single crystal analysis class next semester. These classes give us those qualifications that we've hyper focused on these things. But then the other thing is that it's really good to spread yourself out, because the more skills you have, the more applicable you are to the job field. So it's really nice. And also like I really enjoy learning about like multiple things at once. And I definitely think that all of those things are doable, especially if you come into college and you are actively pursuing your education. Like if you come in and you know that's what you want to do, and you meet with your advisor, they can work out a perfect schedule for you. They know, you know, everything there is to know about the classes and when they occur, and you can set up a perfect schedule so that everything will work in just right for the way that you need it. So just be proactive about your schedule, and then anything you want is really doable.
I do want to just add to that, though, that if you're undecided, that's okay too, because there's also time to explore and decide. And
Yes,
the majority, Carol would know more about this, but the majority, I think the majority of Miami students change their major at some point, right? Which means you're coming in knowing what your major is, and then you get depressed because you realize it's not really what you want, and then you're kind of confused, and then you find something else. Well, if you come in just confused, you're already steps ahead of that student. You know, leave yourself undecided. That's okay. You have time to explore. And my personal opinion is that undergraduate is about a liberal education, and it's about learning. It's about expanding your mind. It's about exploring things you never had a chance to explore in high school. It's about learning to communicate. It's about learning to think. It's about all those things. And the discipline is secondary. I wouldn't get too wrapped up in the discipline. Not you, and maybe I'm saying this because as an undergraduate, I was a religious studies major. Okay, so I was a humanities major, and now I'm in this science stuff. You can shift, and most people do many times through their education and through their professional career.
Yeah, I just want to say I was undecided my entire first year. I took all my GREs, and geology wasn't even like an option for me. I hadn't even considered it, and I took a course for fun. And then I was like, I really love this. So keep your mind open, like use the GREs to your advantage and really try and enjoy them, because it will help you find exactly what you want.
I was a pre-law major up until last fall, so, or a pre-law focus in political science. And it was a class with Dr. Rakibin that I was doing for my physical science degree that ended up convincing me to join the department.
And I think something else that's worth mentioning too is even if you are interested in the environmental field or the geology field, and you know that's what you want to do, and you come in and you spend your entire time, and don't switch your major. I'm that person. I'm in my third year. I've known since I was in the 9th grade, since I was the freshman in high school, that this is what I've wanted to do. But I had absolutely no clue what direction I wanted to go in. And so that's something that's really cool about the way that the majors are set up, and how they don't really require concentration. Is it's not something that you have to worry about, because some schools do require, a concentration by your junior year. And, then it adds another level of difficulty. If then you continue to take these more specified courses, and then you decide you don't like it, then it creates more of an obstacle. With the way that the program is set up at Miami, and then also with the research added on, you can take a class, you can join onto a research project and try it for a while and decide if that's something that you like. And if you absolutely hate it, nobody's going to be offended if you don't take any more classes or if you jump off the research project. And so
Okay.
you can find out basically the stuff that you want to do.
Trish asks, what's the percentage of graduates that go on to master's or PhD programs versus going into the workforce?
Yeah, so that it's 33% in recent years. So
To what? Oh, 33.
33% of our undergraduate majors across the board in the last few years have been going on to graduate degrees.
And the others, are they going into geological fields to work, or kind of going another direction?
Yeah, so we have close to 30% who go into various types of environmental jobs. So that can be state and federal government jobs, or private industry, environmental consulting. We have probably, I'd say overall that about 75% or 80% of all of our undergraduate majors go into some geoscience related or closely related discipline for their, whether it's graduate school or a job afterwards. And then we have people who do other sorts of things. People who are interested in environmental law, for example, who might go to law school, or people who get interested in working in nonprofits and so forth.
Carol, did you want to add to that?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, we've got another question above that that got missed. But Carol, did you want to add?
Absolutely. I mean, personally, I was just going to say that I know that our students are finding that opportunity to either, as Liz said, go right into the workforce. I know my son went right into the workforce after he did his undergrad at Miami and totally fell in love with environmental science and got his graduates there. And that's what he's working in. So.
Okay, which question were you did you want to?
It actually just disappeared. It was the one above Trish. It was one about the how students get to know each other and what kind of, you know, close network we have among students in the department, since it's a smaller department.
And I think so, it also did it. There was also one that maybe we missed in regard to the LLC.
Yeah, that was part of that same question. And so some of the students here can answer both of those aspects. Sarah can probably talk about mugs, or any of you could probably talk about mugs who are involved. And then the LLC part of the question.
I'll briefly say that I was actually in the Environmental Awareness LLC as a freshman, and I met a lot of people who are still my friends to this day, and that's 5 years later. So I think that, you know, you do meet people that are outside of your major as well, who are just interested in the environment, but you meet a great collective of people doing that. So I'll just say that about the LLC.
How many were in the LLC, Sarah?
I want to say we had around 20 to 30 students who were in the Environmental Awareness LLC when I was a freshman.
Yeah, and that's out of about 220 students who do the co-major. So yeah, it's just a very small segment of the students who do the co-major. Were any of the rest of you in the Environmental LLC? Living Learning Community, by the way, is what LLC stands for. And Sarah, you were in that. You were a sustainability scholar, right? As was Lauren. So you were in that automatically. Is that correct? Or you? Okay. All right. Okay.
Now, if you could say a few words about mugs, any of you who have been involved, that'd be helpful.
So Ruthie and I are both exec members on MUGS. And
so MUGS is the Miami University Geological Society.
Yeah, it's a really big group of students, graduate students, and then the faculty are really involved with it. So it's a great way to meet people in the department. I found that I've gotten to know a lot of the younger students. I'm a junior, so getting to know the freshmen and the sophomores, especially in a time like COVID era right now, we're organizing socially distanced hikes, virtual events. So it's been a great way to just connect with people at a time when that's not really a great opportunity, or there's not a lot of opportunities to do that. Yeah, and being a UA as well has been a great opportunity to get to know other students. So it is a really tight network that you can build in the department.
And
the
also,
UA is an undergraduate assistant. So many of these students are helping out in some of our undergraduate classes. So, so that's another way that you get sort of mentoring from not only graduate student assistants, but also upperclassmen in the department.
And really fast to build off of student org stuff, we also have a vast amount of environmental and sustainability related organizations. I'm actually the president of one of them called Green Team. We're affiliated with the sustainability department here at Miami. But we have several other organizations that each fill very like niche topics. And we actually just this time last year created something called the Student Sustainability Council, where a member from the exec board of each of our sustainability or environmentally related organizations sit on this council that meets every other week, just so that we can talk about putting on events and making sure that we're not being redundant in our projects. And we are actually in the middle of Sustainability Week this week, because October is Campus Sustainability Month. And so it's basically just a week of programming that everyone's putting on events to try to highlight sustainability and what that looks like in college.
Sorry if you were going to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I wanted to add on to that, that the president of Miami, President Greg Crawford, a month ago on the autumnal equinox, signed the president's climate leadership commitment. So this is a big deal. This is putting Miami in gear to come up with a plan to be carbon neutral. And we choose a year, we come up with a plan. We have 3 years to do that. I happen to be the co-chair of the Climate Action Task Force. And we are in the process right now of choosing, we have applications in, I'm going through the applications. We are choosing our student representatives for that. But ultimately, there are going to be about a dozen student representatives who are going to be representing all the different subcommittees of that and helping us figure out how Miami can really move towards carbon neutrality. That's not an easy task, but it's kind of an exciting time, I think, to come and be part of IES and be part of this work right now to help us achieve carbon neutrality. Again, we have 3 years to figure out how we're going to do it, and then we're going to do it. Now, we could pick a date like, 2200, in which case it's meaningless. But I want to see students and faculty and everyone really pushing the university to be ambitious and trying to do this, trying to reach carbon neutrality as fast as we can. And I hope you all know why that's important. Okay, so, and then Sarah, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, you're okay. I was just going to say, getting back to how people get to know each other within the major. I didn't find mugs until this year because the name was Miami University Geologic Society. And I was like, I'm not a geologist. But I found that because the department's so small, a lot of the students that I'm meeting are in a lot of the same classes as me. So getting just to know maybe 4 or 5 people through my semester last year where we went online and we all banded together, and then this semester finding that most of them are still in my classes, you really do find that being in a little bit of a smaller department leads to a lot closer friendships. And then we all get to come together and say, okay, well, we're all in these 3 classes together, so we're going to all study these 3 classes together every week, so you don't really it's a great idea to be involved in the clubs, and just because it says geology doesn't mean it's just geology, but you do get to know a lot of people that way. It's not really something that you should be too worried about.
And just think, by the time you all come, maybe we won't be on Zoom all the time. Maybe. Hopefully.
Let's hope.
Should we go on to the next question?
Mhm.
All right. Someone said, did you know what you wanted to do when you started college? I already said I had no clue. No clue. How about the rest of you? Raise your hand if you knew what you wanted to do when you started college. So about half and half. I'm envious of the people who knew. How easy when you know what you want. I still don't know what I want, so I'm still trying to figure that out. Yeah. And I think that's okay. Let's see, how are counselors, are they helpful in setting up a schedule and advice? I personally work very closely with the College of Arts and Science advisors, and they're amazing and they're growing. And I could pull the old man's thing and say that when I was in college, we didn't have nearly the kind of advice and system in place to help us. We were just kind of tossed in. I don't know if that was true for you, Liz, and Todd is too young to know, but no, they're amazing. Look, you have advisors on every level. You have advisors in your department, like Todd and Liz are the advisors in geology. I'm an advisor in IES. You have advisors at the college level, so the College of Arts and Science. And when in doubt, go to those folks, because they are professional advisors. That's what they do, and they are there for you. And then there are even advisors above that on the university level of some sort. I'm not sure, but
But
anyway.
I will just say for those who are in our department, every major in our department gets assigned to an advisor in the department. So that's myself or Todd, or we have a third advisor as well. And it's just alphabetically. And so you get assigned, and we actually harass our students and make sure that they meet with us every single semester. So in the week or two before you enroll in classes and plan the following semester, we meet with you and we work through not only what are you going to take the next semester, but how are you going to finish out your whole 4 years? And how can you work in study abroad, or how can you work in your research and so forth? So there's very intensive advising.
I wanted to say that, like, also the nice thing about Miami's advising is that you have an advisor for everything. You have a study abroad advisor, you have a College of Arts and Science advisor, you have your, whatever major you are, you have that advisor. You have, like, I can't even keep track of all the advisors. There's so many, but what's so nice about that is that they're not spreading themselves too thin, and they're specialized in that one thing that will help you. So yeah, it's quite a few meetings to schedule, but in reality, it will save you and your advisor a lot of time, because they're not spreading themselves too thin and knowing everything that goes on in the university, because there's so many opportunities and there's no way they could know everything. So really take advantage of all the advisors that you're given, because each of them have something new to offer you, and they're all really good about helping in any situation I've been in.
Okay, Erica has a couple questions. How practical is it to double major with one outside of earth sciences and also something more related to sustainability and conservation? Absolutely. I mean, it's just not a problem. Again, I think there's a few disciplines across campus that are very, very time consuming on their own. And again, if it's a studio, if it's a major that has a lot of studio time or student teaching, or the, I guess, a bachelor's science and engineering, because those are programs that are following national guidelines and there's just a lot of requirements. But for most of us, no. In fact, I was very involved in the design of the geology and environmental earth science majors, and we specifically designed them so that even if you only discovered earth science in your second year and you really started into it in your third year, you could still do it. It's a little crammed if you're only doing it in those last 2 years, but it's possible, actually. So, and I was big on that because I didn't discover earth science until my senior year of college. So there you go. Okay. And is sustainability the closest related discipline to conservation at Miami? It depends what you mean by conservation. If you're talking conservation biology, then probably environmental science, but common, let's just talk about it. I think the thing to do is meet with us. We talk about your interests. We look at a variety of classes and we'll figure out the best path. It depends what you mean by conservation and what the things are that you really are interested in. And also what you're thinking about ultimately for a career and how you see that playing out. So I think that question can go a lot of different ways. Anybody else, if anybody has other things to say in response to that, let me.
I want to say we have some really good natural restoration classes here, if you're interested in that form of conservation.
And I did see a question, it seems to be gone now, about study abroad.
Oh, I answered those, but we should probably
Okay.
go over them for the whole chat as well.
Okay.
I know I personally, like everyone here, we're all doing so much. I did the biology, the environmental science, the Spanish minor, and my last year was basically entirely grad school, and I still was able to study abroad. So
where did you go, Sarah?
I went to Costa Rica. I didn't go through a Miami program. However, it's pretty easy to transfer your credits over here. They have you meet with the study abroad advisors are very helpful people. They help you if you're worried about funding it. They're very good at helping you get scholarships to study abroad. I was able to get some to study abroad, so it wasn't an issue for me. And they make sure that you can go to all of the faculty and make sure that your classes are approved before you go, so that you don't have to worry about trying to get all the credit for those classes afterwards.
Okay. I did put in my application for taking students once again to Zambia in June 2021. Realistically, I'm not sure that's going to happen in June 2021 with COVID. I don't know exactly what it would take for me to be comfortable for putting students on like 30 hours of plane ride to get to Zambia. But what that means is, assuming I don't go in 2021, I'll be going when you're here. And, you know, let's do it. Let's do it as soon as you get here. That would be absolutely fine. There are no prerequisites for the environmental, scientific research and community work that we'll be doing in Zambia in probably June 2022 is most likely.
I just wanted to mention really fast, skipping back to the
You're all
double
frozen.
major thing. Am I frozen now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Am I good?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So I was just gonna say really fast that especially with the co-majors that we have, there's even more of an emphasis now than ever, I would say, on, you know, choosing multiple disciplines, choosing multiple majors. And I think like we have people, especially with the co-majors, like in my classes, I've met people that are all over the university. I've met people who have, you know, their primary major is in education or is in business or is in political science with like pre-law intent. There are so many different areas that you can take it. I think I even met somebody in like global health and politics, I think it was called. And so like it really goes to show that you know, Miami's majors are very flexible and can complement each other really well. But then it also shows that the environmental field, the geology field, the sustainability field, et cetera, are also very, very, very widespread and very applicable to a lot of different things.
Also, the university has a lot of different programs with different, like, I don't know what you would call them, organizations that schedule a lot of these study abroad programs. And a lot of the time, the university will end up, the price of it will end up being the same as it would cost you for a semester, which is an incredible opportunity. And like, you definitely want to take advantage of that if you can, because it's really expensive to study abroad and not a lot of universities meet that price. Like they'll meet what costs you a semester at Miami to the cost of what it will be to study abroad. I'm not quite sure if that counts the plane ticket, but still, regardless, it's a really good opportunity.
I know my program cost me less than it would cost for me to be here. So I mean, if you want to find a program that's affordable, you can definitely find it.
And, you know, I'm also a big fan of Miami's Luxembourg program. I taught in Luxembourg as part of that program for 2 years a while ago. I think it's a great program. It doesn't mean that you still don't come to Zambia with me in the summer, by the way, but the Luxembourg program, you can go in the summer or you can do semester programs. The cost is the same. Now the plane ticket is extra, and realistically, when you're in Luxembourg, you're in the heart of Europe. On the weekends, you're going to go traveling. And so students do spend money traveling, but that's all up to you how you do that and how much you do. And in fact, I did know students who were, you know, trying to save money, who stayed on weekends. They stayed in the Luxembourg, Belgium, France, Germany area. Didn't stray very. They didn't go to Munich or Moscow for the weekend. And they still had a glorious time, and they learned more about the local culture. I did get a question about, is there funding available for trips like Zambia? Well, Sarah mentioned that there are some scholarship opportunities. Study abroad has some scholarship opportunities. they are limited. And yes, it does cost money. And just to give you an idea, so flying to Zambia, it's like, you know, first you fly to Europe, like you fly to Paris or Frankfurt, and then there's an equally long flight to get down to Zambia. And so the flight is about $1,800, so it's expensive. But once we're in country, I do things pretty cheaply, and it can be pretty economical. I mean, basically 3.5 weeks on the ground, including all transportation, food, most of the food, and safaris and everything else cost students maybe another $1,500, $1,600. So compared to other trips, we do it pretty cheaply.
There's also different funds around the university, and they will like talk to you about it if you go to advising for study abroad, that help you specifically with like the more expensive aspects. Like, for example, if you have to provide your own housing, or with the plane especially, there's several grants, and there's the Miami Parent Fund too that helps supply funds for those types of things.
If you're in the honors program as well, if you're taking a trip over J-term or summer, they will pay for half of the tuition part of things on study abroad trips. So you should look into the honors program. I didn't actually apply for the honors program when I came into Miami. Don't know why, but I didn't, because it was just a little box that you check. And it's been extremely useful, and it's really not hard to do. And it's a nice opportunity. And if you're looking to study abroad, it could knock off a little bit of tuition costs for J-term or for summer.
And also there's a new program called the Prodesi Scholars Program. And there, if you're interested in being a sustainability scholar, you apply directly to that sustainability scholar program. And there's some other benefits that come with that. And then you'll be working with me. And your first semester, you'll be taking or it's actually second semester is what it's going to be. You'll be taking a film course with me, which both Lauren and Sarah took at different times. So, or were you together? No, different times. An environmental film course. Do we have more questions? Let's see. I think we've answered the questions.
So.
Carol, what do you think? How are we doing?
Carol's muted.
I think everything has been answered, and I think you guys as panelists did a wonderful job. I'm so impressed with all the things that your students, as students, you've done. It sounds like everyone on the questions that were coming in were so related, and I hope they can see that you're all enjoying your time. I see all the smiles, and I think as you look at what you're going through right now, the collaboration that I see between the faculty and the students, that's so uniquely Miami, and you just don't get this everywhere. And so thank you very much, and thank you to the audience.
So I'm putting into the chat to everybody my email, because you can certainly ask us more questions anytime.
Can you put mine in also?
Yeah. Okay, did I spell that right? Yes, I think I did. And then WIDOME, that's it, right? Just E.
Yep.
At miamioh.edu. And also Todd, I know yours, DODUPONTT.
E.
E?
No, 2 T's.
2 T's, yes, that's what I had, okay. miamioh.edu. There you go, you have all 3 of our emails. We're happy to answer more questions.
Hey, if any of you guys visit, I work at the information desk in Armstrong. You can come say hi and ask me more questions. I'm happy to answer them.
Come stop by the admissions office. I'm a tour guide. I'm always there.
Okay, and I want to know when Sarah, Madeline, and Ruthie are going to take hydro.
I am next year.
100% next year.
Okay, all
I
right.
don't know. Todd's my advisor. Ask him.
Okay. Well, you're environmental earth science, right, Sarah? So you have to.
Yeah.
You're required. Yeah, there's no getting around it. Yeah. And do you know Sarah Strack took my advanced hydro without taking my intro? How was that, Sarah?
Oh, well,
I
so these
also
guys can
didn't
all
take
do
help.
that next
I
semester.
didn't take either of the prerequisites for it.
Yeah.
It was a struggle, but I got through it. I did.
Yeah, you did. You did well. You did well. Okay. All right. Carol, we done? We signing off? What's
Yeah, absolutely. Want to thank all of our students for joining us and the virtual open house that's Friday and Saturday. You'll be able to see a little bit more about our students, several of our tours, and it'll also waive your fee for applying to fall 2021.
okay? Bye, everybody. Hope to see you
Bye.
here
Thanks,
next
everyone. We
year.
hope we'll see you in the
And not
fall.
just on Zoom. And not just on Zoom.
That's right.